Hello, welcome to AllCBTs today. My name is David, and I want to use today's video to prepare you for the upcoming JAMB. Now we are taking the CRK, or if you like, the CRS, Christian Religious Knowledge or Christian Religious Studies questions. And I have taken out the 40 top most likely JAMB questions based on predictions and exam trends to be able to prepare you maximally. I will explain them, give you thorough details on each of them. Now, if you have questions, any question at all, even if it's foolish question, please ask them in the comment section. And let me know your name, where you're watching me from, and what course you want to study in the university. Also, let me know your targeted JAMB score. Shall we get into it? Hi, you're welcome back. Now let's go to question 1. Whose sons treated the offerings of the Lord with contempt? This is the key word there. Contempt. That means with disregard, with disdain. Whose sons of who, treated the offering of the Lord with disregard? They didn't have honor for the offerings of God in the Bible. From this list of men, you have Saul. We didn't hear about Saul's sons at all, so Saul could not be the answer. You have Samuel. We heard about Samuel's sons, and that his sons were terrible, but his sons were not in charge of offerings, as the Bible told us. We heard about David. David had some good sons and some bad sons, but it's not David. Now the person is Eli. Eli's sons. Eli was a priest. And so Eli put his sons in charge of some of the sacrifices, and his sons treated the sacrifices of the Lord with dishonor. So the correct answer there is Eli. Now question 2. Daniel was cast into the den of lions because he did what? What was his offense? Why was he thrown into the den of lions? He hid to pray to God. He was a foreigner. No, it wasn't because he was a foreigner. There were many foreigners in the kingdom at the time. He was a criminal. No, he didn't commit any offense as it were to the law of the land. He was disloyal to the king. No, he was very close to the king. He was a friend of the king. So he was thrown into the lions den because he prayed to God. Remember that those people who were against Daniel had tried to convince the king that nobody should pray to any other god except the king for 30 days. But Daniel loved praying to Jehovah and refused. He was caught and was thrown into the den of lions. God delivered him anyway. So question 3. Moses took the bones of Joseph during the Exodus. Exodus means when they were leaving Egypt to Canaan land. Moses asked them to go to the tomb, the burial ground of Joseph, and dig out his bones. Why? A. Joseph was their first king. No, Joseph was never a king. He was only a prime minister, and it wasn't over Israel. It was their custom to carry all the bones. No, that's not true. Joseph had sworn that they should carry the bones. Yes. Joseph had asked his sons and told his sons to swear by him that when they are leaving the land of Egypt onto the land that God had promised them, that they would make sure to carry his bones. So, and that's what they did. This was much years later. So not the same, of course. And then, question 4. The team that Cornelius sent to bring Peter from Joppa consists of what? Now, who was Cornelius? Cornelius was a centurion. Okay? And he sent something to bring Peter to come and meet him in his house. They consist of what? 2 servants and 2 soldiers? No, that's not what the Bible told us. 1 servant and 2 soldiers? No. It was actually 2 servants, two of his good servants, and 1 of his most loyal soldiers. So that's 2 servants and 1 soldiers. Never forget it, okay? Question 5. The 3 disciples that witnessed the transfiguration of Jesus Christ. What's transfiguration? when Jesus Christ was on the mountain, and Moses appeared here, and Elijah appeared here, and they were talking to him. And Peter, James, and
Get the cheapest science materials from AllSchoolLabs.com.
we were actually seeing it like a vision. So that was the transfiguration of Jesus Christ. He took 3 disciples, I already mentioned their name, Peter, James, and John. These were his closest disciples. He took them to this place of transfiguration, which is now known as the mountain of transfiguration. Alright, so now if you've enjoyed the video up until question 5, it does show that you are gaining value. If you are gaining value, why not type in the comment section, I'm gaining value, right now. Alright, and make sure you smash the subscribe button, because in the channel I loaded all the subjects you need to pass this year's exam beautifully. And note that some of these questions you will still see them in your WAEC, in your O-level exam. So make sure that you understand them very, very well. If you need to rewind and re-listen, it's better you do so. Okay? Let's continue. We have a long way to go. Question 6. The Babylonian exile. What's exile, by the way? I want one of you to tell me what exile is in the comment section. What's an exile? When somebody is on exile. So the Babylonian exile was a consequence of what? A. The division of the kingdom into Israel and Judah. The Israelites' disobedience to God and their social injustice. The Israelites' refusal to pay tribute to Babylon. It's not this. The Assyrian invasion and destruction of, I think that should be Israel. It's not this. Alright. Now, anytime you see exile in the Bible relating to the children of Israel, there is only one thing involved, and that is their sin. Anytime the children of Israel committed sin against God, God made sure that the enemy came and took all of them as captive from their lands. See. So anytime there was an exile that related to the children of Israel, it was because of their sin. And I believe that this is still the same today. Many times the things we suffer are because of our sins. So if you want to have a better life, you want to enjoy a peaceful life, maybe you need to stop some sins or the other that you're doing. And we all know what we do in secret that God probably doesn't approve of. So that is what they are disobedience. Anytime they disobeyed God, anytime they didn't listen to God, they faced serious, severe consequences. Then question 7. Which prophet confronted King Ahab and challenged the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel? Which prophet that stood against the prophet of Baal? There were 700 prophets of Baal, and the prophet stood against them. One prophet. I love it. That his prophet was Elijah, right? You remember the end of that story. He called fire down from heaven of the sacrifice and ensured that he and some men killed all the prophets of Baal. Well, he couldn't do it today, if not he'll be charged with murder. Question 8. Which prophet warned the people of Nineveh about God's impending judgment? You know this one. God sent him to Nineveh, a town where their wickedness was a lot. They were wicked people there. So God sent these prophets to Nineveh. But this prophet ran away and was it Joppa? I think Joppa. And got caught in the belly of a fish. Okay, as I said, belly of a fish. Now some of you are like, oh, I know him. And that's who? Jonah alone. Okay, question 9. The downfall of the northern kingdom of Israel was mainly due to, remember again what I said, any time that the children of Israel was carried away, was defeated by their enemies, was in trouble, was having sicknesses and pestilences, it was because of what? Their sin. So once you check the option, just look for where it says sin or disobedience or unfaithfulness. Now let's see. Invasion by the Philistine? No. Division and fighting among the tribe? No. The rise of the powerful neighboring kingdom? No. The rejection of the Mosaic law. Mosaic law simply means Moses' law. The laws of Moses. That's what Mosaic law means. So they rejected the law of Moses and they faced the consequences. Now, question 10. The book of Lamentation is traditionally attributed to which prophet and describes the sorrow and mourning over the fall of Jerusalem? Which prophet is accredited the book of Lamentation? In fact, I thought it was the prophet who wrote it, because that's what we're told. And that prophet is what? Jeremiah. They also call him the crying prophet or the wailing prophet. Because if you read the book of Lamentation, this book, there is a lot of wailing, a lot of crying in it about the fall of Jerusalem. So that is Jeremiah. Okay, if not in some Bibles, they will write Lamentation by Jeremiah. Question 11. With Moses still at Mount Sinai, Moses went to Mount Sinai to get the commandments, the 10 commandments from God. Before he would come back, the Israelites asked Aaron to do what? Do you remember that story? They asked Aaron to produce another God for them. Because Moses went for a long time, for 40 days. He had never gone that long before. And they wondered where Moses was. They thought maybe Moses had died. And they were stuck in the desert. So they began to threaten Aaron to do what? To produce another God that would lead them to the promised land, which led to their utter destruction. So this is the answer. They disturbed Aaron to produce another God for them. And then to test Abraham's faith, God asked him to sacrifice his son Isaac at where? Where did God ask Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? Okay, you have Mount Sinai. All these are mountains. Mount Sinai, Mount Moriah, Mount Metel, Mount Tabor, and that place is what? Moriah. Moriah is the place of sacrifice. It's the altar of sacrifice. God said to him, take Joshua, if your name is Joshua, or take Adi, or take Femi, take him to Moriah and cut his head for me as a sacrifice. Wow, that's amazing. And he actually was going to do it, right? It's like your daddy should take your head now, should take you like this, and put you on a slab, and take knife. Oh my. They will arrest your dad. Oh boy. Verse 13. Why did Abraham circumcise Isaac 8 days after he was born? And this is now happening. This is now done to every male, especially in Christendom. In Christianity, when you are born 8 days after they circumcise you, they cut that stuff if you're a boy. Now, why? Because some of you didn't even know why. And it's like, why are they circumcised? Now you know why. A, it was the custom of his tribe to do so. No. Isaac was the son of promise. Yes, it's true. God, he wanted to distinguish Isaac from Ishmael. No. God commanded him. God asked him to do it. So we are doing it now today so that we can tap, we can connect to the blessing that God gave to Abraham for doing it. That's why we're doing it. Because many parents don't even know why they are doing it. They are just doing it. But God asked him to do it. Okay? 14. The 5th plague inflicted upon the Egyptian was what? Now I have second class one for you. I've given you one before, never forget it. The second one, mention all the plagues, 10 plagues that came upon the children of Egypt when they refused to let the children of Israel go. Mention them one by one in the comment section. Don't look at ChatGPT. Don't ask Google. Don't ask any search engine. Just try. You don't have to be right. Okay? We are all learning. And don't be ashamed when you make mistakes. Just list them and don't check another person's answer before you list them. After you list them, you may not check, but list them. Once you list them by yourself, to stick to your brain. So the 5th plague that came upon the Egyptian was what? We said the invasion of lice, the killing of their livestock, the covering of the land of Egypt with water. This one never happened. The changing of all the rivers into blood. This one happened, this one happened, this one happened. Okay? The killing of the livestock was it. It was by pestilence, a terrible terminal disease. Maybe it was COVID-10 that time. came upon the livestock, and within hours, all the livestock died that were outside. Wow, that was terrible. Imagine like all the animals in the country dying. Wow, that's wonderful. Where did Joseph's brothers conspire to kill him? Yeah. They conspired, they teamed up to kill their brother. Can you imagine that as well? Brothers of a mother come together to kill their own brother because they were jealous of him. How strong was the jealousy there? Where did Joseph's brother conspire to kill him? You have Dothan, Bethel, Gilead, and Shechem. Some of you wouldn't know it, so I'll just tell you. The answer is what? Dothan. They conspired at Dothan. So once they saw him come, yes, they grabbed their own brother. Then, verse 16. The sin of the Israelites that led to the punishment by serpents was what? Yes.
Run quick tests and analysis. Visit analysis.africa.
Remember again, anytime they did what? I told you before, anytime the Israelites sin against God, any question you see that talks against punishment for the Israelites, they sinned. So let's see. Making the golden calf, speaking against God and Moses, planning to return to Egypt, trying to stone Caleb and Joshua. What was the sin? Speaking against God and Moses. They were murmuring. It wasn't the golden calf. In the golden calf, God says, if you are for me, since now there are two gods in this calf, I'm a God, and this calf you have built is also a God. Okay, if you are for me, come to this side. And those ones who still love Jehovah came to this side. Those ones who wanted to be with the new calf went to that side. And then God gave these people on this side power to kill the people on this side. But in this case now, they were murmuring against God, against Moses. Oh, for Aje, or for Adonje, teacher, I've not eaten. It's only this bread and this fish you have been eating for days now. And God was like, people are ingrate. Yeah, some of you will die now. And they began to die. Really sad. It's funny, but it's sad at the same time. 17. In Jotham's parable of the trees, Abimelech is very much likened to a bramble. Simple. Bramble. Yes, bramble, which is insignificant, ruled over all the other trees. So, go into the hills, let the pursuers meet you, and hide yourself 3 days. Okay, there should be a quote here, it's a quote. Until the pursuers have returned, then afterward, you may go your way. Yes. Who gave this advice? Yes, it was Rahab. It was Rahab who gave this advice to the 2 men that Joshua had sent to spy the land. What land? Jericho. You understand? You know, they went round about Jericho until the walls fell down. So it was Rahab was the one that was on top of the building. Do you remember this story? We don't have that much time. Question 19. During the confirmation of the Lord's covenant, Moses was invited by the Lord along with who? There were 3 other persons that was invited with Moses into the presence of the Lord, into the courts of the Lord. And that was what? Aaron and his 2 sons. So Nadab and Abihu are sons of Aaron. So Moses, Aaron, and his 2 sons. 20 now. After me comes he who is mightier than me, the tongue of whose sandal I am not worthy to stoop down and untie. Who said this? There's a quote here. There's a quote here. Now, this tongue also means the rope. Some call it latchets. Some call it rope. Some call it latchets. The latchet of the sandal, the rope of your shoe, of the sandal. He says, I'm not even worthy to lose the rope of this person's sandal that is coming after me. Who said this thing and who did he say it to? Okay, I'll tell you who said it now in the comment section. Tell me who it was said to. The person who said it was John the Baptist. So who was it said to? You better interact with me in the comment section. Tell me these things because I'm helping you. I'm not a radio. I'm not a radio that don't get response. As I'm giving you these things, I want you to respond. I want the environment to be like we're in a physical class.
Get the cheapest science materials from AllSchoolLabs.com.
Not that you're just watching something and playing. That's why you need to sit attention. And as I'm asking you this question, you answer them in the comment section. Any exam you see them, you will not think twice. These questions will stick to your brain because we are what? We are in a conversation, we are communicating, right? So tell me, John the Baptist said this about who? Okay, 21. God commanded Solomon not to marry from the Moabites, Amorites, Edomites, Sidonites, and Hittites. Because of why? A, they were not submissive to their husband. No, that is not why. They will not worship the God of Israel. They will still go after other men. Their wives will go after other men. No, sometimes when you read some options in all this external examination, you just laugh. Like the person who said this question is the funny person. They will turn away his heart after their God. Yes, it's true. That's why. No, sorry, this is the answer. This is not. This is also correct though. They will not worship the God of Israel. And then they will turn away Solomon's heart after God Almighty to start following their own gods. So that's why God says Solomon should not. But you know, Solomon married them, and what happened? Eventually, this thing happened. He started to follow other gods as well. But when you give alms, what is alms? All this giving, your tithings, your charity, what you give to the poor. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Wow, this was said by who? This was said by Jesus Christ. From your assessments of Jesus' teaching about giving, what do you think is a violation of this statement? Okay, let's scroll up so we can see it. One gives only what one has. One does not give from free will. One is judgmental in giving. One gives only when what is requested. Okay. It's not this. It's not this. One is judgmental. It's not this. One gives only what one has. It's not this. It is this. This is the closest to the answer. It's not even really the answer, but it's the closest to the answer. It says, when you are giving, don't let your left hand see what your right hand is doing. In other words, don't broadcast it. So this is closest to the answer because if you are giving from a free will, from your heart, you will not want to be sharing to everybody. Hello, I'm giving Ijesha 2 cups of rice today. All the community, hear me, I'm doing a good work here. No, it says that giving is not accepting. That's what Jesus said. Because you have gotten your reward already from people's admiration. Do you understand it? Good. We move. In order to receive a reward of inheritance, Paul exhorts the believers to what? Collect offering and tithes. No, that's not what Paul said. Carry out their task actively. Ask for manna from above, from heaven. No. Always pray for their daily bread. No. Carry out their task actively. This is the word there. Meaning, like we saw before, free will. Do it with joy. Whenever you are giving, do it with joy. Whenever you are serving God, serve God with joy. Not like you are forced or it's a burden. That's what Paul said. So that they can receive their reward from God. 24 now. How long will you grieve over Saul? In quotes. You see that this is the proper way. It should be in quotes. On what occasion did God make the statement above to Samuel? Okay. Why did God say this to Samuel? At Saul's rejection, at Saul's torment, at Saul's death, at Saul's disobedience? No, it was at Saul's rejection. When God rejected Saul, Samuel was very touched, okay, and was crying, weeping to God and begging God to have mercy on him, on Saul. And God says, it's okay, I found David, I prefer David, so stop crying to me. Yeah. Now, if you've watched this video to question 24, meaning we've been enjoying ourselves, and I hope you've been responding to the questions. in the comment section. Do you know you can practice these questions on your own using our apps? So find the link to download the apps in the description. Go download the apps and start practicing these questions for free, right? Then also, like I've always said, if you have questions, you want more clarifications, please use the comment section and ask me. I love your questions. I love to take your questions. 25. On which day did God create sea creatures and all living things? On which day? Okay, we have the 5th day, the 2nd day, the 6th day, the 3rd day. That's on the what? On the 5th day. Alright, okay, I have another assignment for you here, or classwork for you. You want to tell me in the comment section, what did God make? The 1st day, the 2nd day, the 3rd day, the 4th day, the 5th day, and the 6th day. Remember, don't ask ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever one it is there. Don't ask Google or any search engine. Just try from what you've been taught in church and in the class to remember. Okay? If you don't know, just write what you know. Alright? Don't spawn on another person's answer. Write what you know first. Then you can inspire later. Alright? And don't go back to edit. 26. When did the Israelites say, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do? Okay? This should also be a quote. All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. After Joshua farewell speech, no, Joshua never went anywhere. At Mount Sinai, when Moses spoke to them before his death, no. After the incident of the golden calf, no. It was at Mount Sinai. When Moses came down, when God came down on the mountain, and God was with Moses, the children of Israel were afraid and said, Moses, please speak to us. Don't let God speak to us. Everything God says we should do, we would do. Right? I'm really enjoying this class. I don't know of you, but I'm having so much fun. I wish we just keep going to 200, but the video will too long. So we are going to 40. 27. Saul was rejected as king over Israel because he disobeyed God's command to utterly destroy who? Which people? You have Assyrians, Philistines, Amalekites, Ammonites. The correct option is what? Amalekites. God says, go to that country for Amalekites and completely kill everybody there. Wow! This is the loving God. Yes, because these people called Amalekites, they were all sort of abomination. They did all sort of abomination. Human beings sleeping with animals, animals dining with human beings. They were like good, they were like terrible goods. And their sins and the wickedness, murder, wickedness had reached the heavens. So God says, this thing cannot continue. 28. God commanded man to eat of every tree of the garden, but not of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because of his words. Law for man, sympathy for man, lordship and authority over man, understanding the nature of man. Lordship. God wanted to see if Adam and Eve will obey him, if Adam and Eve will take him as Lord. That's why God says, ensure that, when they broke the commandment, they didn't see it through. And God was really pained. God was touched. Okay, 29. Hear this word, you cows of Bashan. Wow. Cows of Bashan. Who oppressed the poor? Who crushed the needy? Cows of Bashan in this statement refers to what? Cows. Now, whenever you say cows, it's always talking about women. I'm so sorry. Cows often is figurative for women. So cows of Bashan here is talking about the women of Samaria. Yes, it says, you oppress the poor and crush the needy. Cows of Bashan, women of Samaria. In Thessalonica, Paul advises believers awaiting the coming of the Lord to put on words, armor of hope, helmet of righteousness, breastplate of faith, breastplate of salvation. Yes, armor of hope, helmet of righteousness, breastplate of faith, breastplate of salvation. there is nothing like breastplate of salvation. So let's start from there. Now, this is a trick I've often used in many past questions, even the ones I don't know, even for higher levels like university students. You will not know all the questions.
Run quick tests and analysis. Visit analysis.africa.
Yes, it's just the truth. It's only God that knows all. No matter how you study, you won't know all the questions. But that's why nobody has ever been able to score 400 over 400, right? But you can always use elimination method for questions that you are not so sure of. For example, we have 4 questions here now. Breastplate of salvation. It couldn't be correct. There is nothing like breastplate of salvation in the Bible. You have helmet of righteousness. You have armor of hope. I've not heard of armor of hope as well in the Bible, so I'll take this out. You have breastplate of faith. Yes, I've heard of breastplate of faith. I've heard of helmet of righteousness. Now let's read the question. In Thessalonians, Paul advised believers awaiting the coming of the Lord to put on the what? Helmet of righteousness. I'm not really sure about this answer, but I'm going to go with helmet of righteousness because if you are awaiting the coming of the Lord, you are waiting Jesus Christ to come, what are you going to take? Helmet, you have to be righteous to go with Christ. So, the helmet of righteousness. It can also be the breastplate of faith. So, pardon me, I'm not too sure of this. You can confirm and let me know in the comment section. It's helmet of salvation or breastplate of faith, either of these two. But I will go with this, right? 31 now. The sign of God's covenant with Abraham was what? A change of name. Yes, that's the first thing first great change God did to Abraham was to change his name from what? Abraham to what? Abraham. Now, another assignment for you. This is the 4th one. What is the meaning of Abraham? And what is the meaning of Abraham? Don't ask ChatGPT. Tell me in the comment section. 32. According to Ezekiel, the new covenant would involve sacrificing oxen, sprinkling clean water on the people. It's not this one, because they were already sacrificing oxen before, plenty of sin. God wasn't interested in oxen again. Washing the people with the blood of animal, not this one. Erecting an altar, they already erected the altar, so he's sprinkling clean water upon you. From the book of Ezekiel, God says we sprinkle clean water upon them, then they'll be clean. And 33. The commander of Jabin's army was who? Straightforward answer. Sisera. And you know how Sisera died now. Somebody put a nail through his head. Terrible. Is that how he died? Yeah, that's how he died. Terrible. God stopped Abraham from sacrificing his son in the land of Moriah. Remember I told you, Moriah is the land of sacrifice. Because he was what? Enraged at his human sacrifice? No. He loved Isaac? No. He preferred Ishmael? No. He was convinced of his obedience. So Abraham, we started this story earlier on. Abraham had taken his son there with a knife, wanted to cut the leg. God said, what? Abraham, come on, man. I was just testing your obedience to me. It's okay, stop, don't do it. Look beside you, there is a calf there. Take the calf instead. Right? So God was convinced of his obedience. Beautiful. Okay? Arise, be gone. The statement above was made by Amnon. When what? When he had captured Absalom. No. Amnon is brother to Absalom, so it's not that. When he had raped Tamar. Yes. You know the story. Very sad story. These are children of David. Amnon, this boy, he loved his sister so much, Tamar. You know those days, it was not really like crime to marry your sister. It was incest, but they did it. Like Abraham married his sister, Sarah. Do you know Sarah was Abraham's half sister? So now Ammon really loved Tamar. She was a virgin and she was very beautiful. So Ammon tried to get his sister into bed. She refused. As I'm giving you the summary, and he raped her. So after he raped her, that urge was gone from him. He became angry. He became angry with his sister and shouted on her these words, "Get away from me. After you rape your sister when was a virgin." This eventually led to Absalom killing Amnon. Terrible story. Okay? If I tell you, you will not believe, and if I ask you, you will not answer. Jesus' statement above was in response to a request by the chief priest. So the chief priest that were asking Jesus Christ of his identity, of who he was. The chief priest. Verse 7. And they arrested them and put them in custody until the morning, for it was already evening. Who were these people that were arrested? They arrested them and put them in custody until the morning, for it was Peter and John. Peter and John that were arrested. You remember Paul and Silas, not Barnabas, they were also arrested, but in this context it was Peter and John. If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here. That means they were up. For him to say from here, that means they were up somewhere. For his written, he will give his angels charge of you. Wow. Who said this? Satan said it to Jesus. Took Jesus to the top of the mountain. Remember those temptations that Jesus faced from Satan, and told Jesus that throw yourself down. Should you say you are the Son of God? If indeed you are the Son of God, the angels of God will capture you. Imagine taking you. Imagine I take you to 30-story building and I said, should you say you are a Christian? Throw yourself down. I'm sure you will not do it. You call for help. Because you are smart, like Jesus. You're not a fool. Jesus said, you think I'm a fool, you are a fool. Get away from me, you devil. This temptation was what? It was the third temptation that Satan. Remember the temptations now. Third temptation. He brought 4 temptations to Jesus. So Jesus overcame all of them. The fourth one was what? Bow down and worship me. Okay, so this was the third temptation. Where was the disciple of Jesus when he had a conversation with the Samaritan woman by the well? When Jesus and the woman were talking by the well, where was his disciples? They had gone to the city to preach. No, not so. They had gone to the city to buy food. Yes, they've gone to buy bread. That's not Bible. It's bread, food. So when Jesus was talking with this Samaritan woman by the well, remember that story? The man that said she didn't have a husband, and Jesus said, you've married 5 husbands before. Don't you just love Jesus? I mean, the man has humor, he's kind, he's merciful, he's everything. He said, you that you had 5 husbands before. That's so funny. And then the last question, the 40th question. The parable of the sower can be categorized under parables about what? Wealth? No. It's not about wealth. Nature? No. It's about the kingdom of God. The sower of seeds. When you talk about the 4 different categories of seeds, seed that fell by the wayside, seed that fell among thorns, seed that fell, talk about the dropping of seeds. So it's talking about the kingdom of God. Yes. That was beautiful. Look at, just like we started a minute ago, we are done. I hope you enjoyed the class and enjoyed these questions. Make sure you share them. This is the list of the things you can do. We provide all this content to you for free. All we are asking is that you like the video and you help us share. Share to your friends, share to groups, share on Telegram, share on WhatsApp, share to your status. And make sure you also check the channel for other subjects that you'll be writing. Imagine how sweet this one is. Others are sweeter as well. I'll see you in another video. Don't forget my name. I'm David. Bye.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the video you just watched. To see more content as that, preparing you for your upcoming exam, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on notification. Also, remember that you can use the comment section to send us your questions or your inquiries, and we are happy to take them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.